Hello everyone, TimeToGrind here, and today I wanted to talk about how to do early access right. And when most people hear the term early access, they groan and roll their eyes so hard that they're looking at the inside of their skull, and I think for good reason. You know, people think of DayZ clones and PUBG and Minecraft clones and all of the just buggy messes of unfinished awfulness that, you know, just slap the term early access on it to get away with not doing any work. You know, especially asset flips. They just, you know, get all these free assets from like the Unity store, just throw them all together, call the game, put it in early access. There you go. You try to make money that way. And a ton of them never update the game, and the games just stay in early access forever, and it's a little ridiculous. So, I mean, for good reason, when you hear the term early access, I think you should be scared. You should be cautious. Because most early access games tend to be just disgusting. But there are some games, however, that do utilize early access just amazingly. You know, games like Don't Starve, Subnautica, Prison Architect, Kerbal Space Program, Darkest Dungeon, and I mean a ton more have all been great early access games that have just proven, you know, the early access system can work. You know, they had great early access periods, and then when they launched an amazing product. And even right now, there's amazing games that are treating early access wonderfully in the way it's supposed to be treated. You know, games like Legion TD2 and especially Slay the Spire. And I know I have talked about Slay the Spire before, but I just want to elaborate on it a little bit more because Slay the Spire is honestly, I think, the perfect example of what an early access game should do and what it should be. Obviously, it's still in early access, and, you know, the devs could just drop off the face of the planet tomorrow and stop updating the game, and in which case, you know, probably not the best example of early access, but as of right now, it has been the best, you know, treatment of an early access game I've ever seen. You know, when the game first came out, it already, you know, had tons of polish. There was already a lot of content. The game was already amazing. And every week on Thursdays, they consistently push out an update. Now, sometimes the update's bigger than, you know, some other updates. Some updates, they'll add entirely new game modes or, you know, stuff like that. Add Ascension mode, you know, daily mode, stuff like that. And some will just be more kind of bug fixes and a little balance changes and stuff like that. But there's at least a consistent update every Thursday. And I mean, throughout the week, there's also, if they find a really bad bug that they know they can fix it, they'll fix it with like a hot fix or something like that. So it's not like, you know, if there's a bug, you have to wait a whole week to do it. There's just the big updates every Thursday. And on top of that, they are actively listening and communicating with fans, you know, on Reddit and Discord and stuff like that and Twitter. And I mean, hell, they have a channel exclusively in the Discord channel for bugs and suggestions, and they have a bot that like files them all neatly so the devs are able to look at them. So if you type like bug, you know, .bug or something like that, and then type your bug, the bot files it as a bug. If you do .suggestion, you know, same way with that. That way they can easily read them all. And at one point I posted a bug in that channel, and within 5 minutes, one of the two devs DM'd me on Discord, and he was kind of we were talking back and forth about, you know, what I might have done to cause the bug, stuff like that, until eventually he figured it out, he realized how to fix it, and he pushed out a hotfix for it the next day. Because the, you know, bug I was having, I mean, a lot of people were having it, but he was helping me with it, or trying to figure it out, was a bug that just, it made it where you couldn't, your scores weren't going on the leaderboards. So it wasn't that bad of a bug, but it was still a pretty bad bug, because if you have a leaderboard system and all that and it doesn't work, that's not the best. But, you know, he just, within 5 minutes, I mean, he just, you know, I was talking to him and I helped him out, and he discovered it, hotfix later. Game's, you know, amazing like that. And it's just awesome, and that's honestly how early access games should be done. So, you know, I do have a couple main important things that you can make sure you do to make your game actually be a good early access experience. And first of all, it's just obviously you need to have just a good game. I mean, that's so, because if you just have an asset flip, it doesn't matter how hard you work on it, most likely it's still just going to be a pile of asset garbage. So you need to have a game that is good in general, but that's kind of an obvious point. But kind of as well, you need to have a reason to go into early access, because a lot of games go in early access just off the bat to just try to start making money as early as possible because they can sell the game before they're even done with it. And that's not the right reason to do it. You know, if you're just putting your game in early access because you want to start selling it and promoting it and making money now versus later, that's not the right reason to do it. The correct reason would be you need tons of player feedback from anything like balancing issues, because, you know, there's Slay the Spire, it's a roguelike, so there's a lot of different combinations, there's a crap ton of different cards and relics and encounters, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be balanced. And you know, it's kind of hard, especially if you've been working on a game for years and years and years. It's kind of hard for you to perfectly balance it, you know, because you might have a card that you really, really love and you think it's amazing, but, you know, and that way, you know, but in reality, when it comes out in the game, everyone thinks it's terrible and it's awful because you were so, like, tunnel visioned into thinking it was good because you liked it. You know, you might not balance it properly, and especially when you have tons and tons of cards and relics and stuff like that. And roguelikes, it's a really great reason. If you're an online game and you need to constantly test if your servers can handle it, or the connectivity, or the matchmaking, and all stuff like that, that's also good reason to be in early access. So you need to have a specific reason, or, you know, a couple reasons why you're actually wanting to be in early access, other than, oh, I'd like to make money as soon as possible. And secondly, you need to consistently push out updates, even if they aren't big ones. Like I said with Slay the Spire, you know, every now and then the Thirsty updates, they aren't super big, but you just need to keep updating the game so that the players and fans know you haven't just abandoned it. And thirdly, going along with that, you need to communicate with the players, because communication with the players is so huge. And it's so important to be a successful early access game. You need to talk to your players. So every Thursday, if the last 2 Thursdays for Slay the Spire, the updates haven't been that big. But at the beginning of the update, you know, it says, okay, well, this patch isn't going to be that big because we've been putting most of our work into the 3rd character. And that's a great example of communication. You're telling the fans, like, hey, we're still putting out a patch today. There's still, you know, balanced stuff. There's still bug fixes, a little new features. But it's not going to be a big patch because we've been working on the 3rd character. And a lot of the times in the Discord or subreddit, you know, if people are asking about it, they'll come and respond, and they'll be like, oh yeah, you know, we're working on the 3rd character and stuff like that. And so the communication and the intent of the developers is perfectly clear. You know, when someone sees, if they didn't do that and they just saw the patch notes every Thursday, and they're like, oh, well, you know, the development's kind of slowing down, they're not adding as much stuff, you know, are they even really working on anything? Are they just done updating this game? You know, that versus the developers explicitly saying, hey, not a big patch because we're working on a character, and when people ask or stuff like that, or are talking about it on the Discord or Reddit, they are like, oh yeah, you know, we're working on this 3rd character, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it makes a huge difference, because instead of thinking, oh, this game's dead, they took their money and run, they're not really updating it anymore, you're now being like, oh, they're actually working a lot on it, and it's just something that takes a lot of time. And it really changes how the majority of players think about it. And lastly, don't make a huge goal for yourself of when the game needs to come out. Don't hype it up like PUBG did. You know, get the game finished when the game's actually finished. PUBG is almost as buggy as when it first came out in early access, and yet now it's supposedly finished. And I've made a video about it before, you know, talking about all of that and my issues with PUBG and it just rushing itself out of early access, especially during the Christmas, you know, right before the Christmas sale, so they can have a huge banner on Steam saying, oh, you know, now released and all this stuff. But overall, just don't, I mean, you can set goals for yourself, some small goals like, oh, we'd like to be able to finish, you know, by the end of this year. We believe that's good. But don't be scared to be like, okay, you know, we actually have a lot more work we need to put in. We're going to delay the launch of early access, because overall, getting rid of early access and launching it out doesn't mean much. PUBG is still, I mean, the updates are slowing down, but just when you take out early access, it doesn't mean that you can't patch your game as many times as you want. You can update your game as much as you need on Steam. You know, it's not like not being in early access prevents you from doing that. So there's not really a reason to get out of early access until you fully are ready and you believe, okay, this game is good. And that doesn't mean that you can't update your game after it's in early access. I mean, you know, with Binding of Isaac Rebirth, that was never in early access, but it's constantly getting, you know, updates just over and over and over, and it's not an early access game, so, you know, you don't have to worry about that. Early access is pretty much just kind of a title. It doesn't really mean a whole lot. So just don't rush yourself out of early access, because, you know, you can still update things after early access, and it's really bad if you are like, okay, well, we're out of early access, but your game still is very unfinished. So just get the game out when it's ready to get out. And that's pretty much it. I just kind of wanted to talk about early access games. I've been playing Slay the Spire. I've been really into, so that being in early access and everything has kind of just made me thinking about early access and thinking about the whole system in general. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. Like always, guys, if you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like down below and subscribing to see more content news. If you guys have any thoughts on, the whole early access shenanigans and stuff like that, or any, early access games that you really liked that did early access well, let me know in the comments down below. I love having a conversation with you guys and everything. And also, I don't have a schedule fully yet, but I am starting to stream, like I've said a little bit before. Normally it's around 7 o'clock on most days, so that'll be in the description down below. Definitely come check me out on Twitch so you can see my beautiful face as well. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and see you guys next time.